is an area that is important and a big part of it, but it's not a big part of me. The music is good. It keeps us alive. That it keeps our contacts and our networking going, which is also another part of it. But if you have too much of that, then you know, like you almost sort of like your views become what the musicians say. So it's more or less like being in mainstream anyway, because you listen to, you know, like all your mainstream crap, your magazines, all your media stuff, and you know, like we think of how bad that is. So it's the same thing in punk subculture as well. You know, like if you get so much of a focus on the music, well, you're only just listening to that. They're more or less just telling you what you want to hear.
When I think about it, I guess there is a pretty varied cross section of people that end up in the punk scene.
I mean, I couldn't just have music on its own. I couldn't just have vegetarianism on it. I couldn't have feminism on its own. I couldn't have anarchism on its own. You've got to have all those parts into one whole.
It's definitely a major part of my life, and it has been since my late teens, and I'm in my late 20s now, so that's a fair bit of my adult life. Well, I'd say all my adult life. So it does mean a lot to me.
Punk's a pretty general term these days.
Got a pop punk scene, and we've got sort of an older school scene, and then we've got a hardcore scene, which I'm a part of.
I'm now killing you. The thing is, like, we don't do anything to provoke their verbal attacks and stuff like that. So why like we don't look at them and automatically yell out to them, you uppy cunt. Like we might sometimes, depending on how pissed we are. But I mean, the thing is, we don't actually go out around taunting people, but they see us and they think, oh mate, here are a bunch of hobos. You know, like, fuck, let's give them a bit of shit, see how they can deal with it. I mean, they're fucking responsible for their actions, and they should take responsibility for being cunts, because a lot of them are. Like, when they see us and shit, they probably think that we're a bunch of, you know, like, idiots and stuff. We don't, like, people are probably surprised that we can actually put a sentence together or something, you know? Mainly, a lot of my anger was probably stemmed from my parents when I was younger, not too much younger, but around my early teens and stuff, and my father being a really misogynistic sort of small man's type complex, and my mother being a domineering, wanting to live her life through me type scenario, and it just sort of like always was a problem. Even I can remember when I was about 12, 13, you know, that there'd always be little issues, and I'm sure that if we were, instead of having 3 daughters, three boys, it would have been totally, we would have grown up totally different, with a lot more freedom, a lot more you know, availability for choosing.
Okay. Everyone ready? Let's go, mate.
When is that recording going to get mixed?
Yeah, I was there on Sunday, and we did like the 3 songs.
Who's paid him any money yet?
I
was going to go there.
Well, I'm going to go to Gas next Wednesday and record some samples. And,
I thought when I was on the I thought either 1 or 2 full days and have all the samples.
Make sure he doesn't fucking try and change the sound of the fucking drum. Every time he tries to fucking put his back in.
I guess I first started listening to punk in high school, so that was like late 70s. It was like Sex Pistols and The Jam and Clash, and then some local bands, Razor, an early Brisbane punk band from the late 70s. And yeah, I guess I was still in grade 11 or 12 at high school, and sort of got into the wearing army jackets to school with swastikas on them and all that stuff, because that was the big thing then, was the shock element with the Sex Pistols.
Definitely like the music and the scene, and I like political ideals too. I used to be into metal before I was into punk, and I liked some metal music, but when I first started listening to punk, what they were talking about in their song lyrics, especially with bands like Crass and Conflict, I could really identify with, and attracted me definitely to the punk scene.
Is that stuff you got? Oh fuck! That stuff you got from Rocky Horse, all right? That
Yeah, that fucking
concrete socks LP.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Better than the Spirit of Heresy. That shit.
And this is the setting up stage.
Oh yeah.
As normal,
This is
time finished first.
This is the glamour of
Oh, that's because it comes there already. I know.
Nobody's mistaken things like that, you liar.
Finish first.
I guess the best part of the punk scene that sort of keeps me involved in it is the international sort of community.
There's a lot of little scenes like Brisbane all over the world that make up that whole community.
I know I can go to most countries and through people I've written to and whatever, have places to stay, you know, people will put you up, show you around, feed you, whatever.
No beard.
It's good. Yeah.
I
You
look
look pretty nice. You already look like someone from
Grizzly Adams, mate.
yeah. Through Clearwater Revival.
Fuck.
Hey,
When are the kids going to come and practice?
Dave and Naomi.
Are we still able to do that gig on the 2nd of July?
I'm there.
Oh yeah, I'm there.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do it without the singers. They're pretty.
I don't give a fuck, I'll do it.
Punk scene has a lot of, well, the worldwide punk scene has a big fanzine network, and you can find out a lot about a lot of punk information through that.
It's just one of those things that communication is the bottom line.
Yeah, communication in the punk scene is really good. It's very organised. It's very worldwide. You can write to people everywhere. It's very organised on an underground level, communication-wise, and it's a very good way to distribute records and magazines. It's also a good way to get political ideals across to other people overseas as well.
The music distro, I guess, is a way of getting music out to people that they wouldn't be able to get. It's I guess a mail order, but run in a more DIY sort of not-for-profit sort of way, rather than, you know, having a few centralised sort of record companies or whatever that do everything. There's lots of little ones all around the world that sort of trade with each other.
I might have a look at that. Oh, look at that. What a piece of music history at its greatest. That's how much? Oh, pretty old. Don't have a record. When did this come out? 2 years ago? What's this? Yeah, a couple of years old. But we're just about finishing a new recording now.
I reckon that'll probably go quicker than this.
Yeah, I'm going to take this. I like Agrophobic Nosebleed.
One of the main differences to me has always been the non-profit aspect of punk. Well, it used to be non-profit, but now everyone calls it not-for-profit. So they've sort of realised that you can actually make profit, but that's not the sole aim of the punk scene. To try and be non-profit, then you end up just losing money and you just wear out after a while.
I know it'd be very hard to make a living out of playing in a band, especially in the punk scene.
I know there's a lot of gigs we've played, we haven't been paid anything. And there's some gigs, we drove down to Sydney once, we only got paid $30. That was pretty bad though.
So what's that mean?
So that means he's not coming up here, and it means
I know, because we can't do the gig.
Well, I'll fucking play that, I don't give a fuck.
I don't want to play with Naomi this singing.
If you want to do it, I'll fucking get your gear ready.
Well,
if you don't give a fuck, I mean, I'll just get the truck in, properly park it and start drinking.
Yeah, well, it's a gas here, eh?
What time do you get? What's the
well, he should get him out real soon. Probably next 15 minutes.
Because if we're going to do it, I want to leave here about 8:15 minutes. So I can get here. Damn it. It's fucking after 7 now. Yeah. I'll turn this on quick off too, man. Let's have some fun. We've got one vocalist. If she doesn't want to do it, Aaron will get up and ad-lib to shit.
Yeah, it sounds like shit. It's going to be on this doco. It'll sound like a piece of crap.
And don't put it on the docket.
Wednesday next week is 29th of August.
Well, if we don't do this, we're not having another gig, because I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah.
Simple as that. I want to play.
Well,
and like I said, my stuff's here.
And like you said, if you don't play, you might come back again.
No, because I'm sick of this.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't give a rat's ass if, you know, something happens and 2 weeks before a gig, oh, well, we can't do it yet. Yeah. That's fine, not a problem. But we've got two vocalists, one who's going to be at the gig, the starters, and won't get up and do it.
Oh, I don't actually want to get up and do it or not.
She told me she wasn't going to get up and do it.
Did she?
I said, well, why don't you get up and do it? Oh, I'm not real keen on that.
Did she? Because I said I didn't want to.
Oh, well, fair enough then.
I think a lot of people involved in the punk scene care a lot about say the world and the environment and people who aren't as well off as punks, I suppose.
The underground punk scene is I don't know, there's just so many different aspects to it. People get involved in different things. There's so many groups sort of come out of it. People do Food Not Bombs groups, and there's always been the sort of anti-war, anti-nuclear groups, but then the last few years is Food Not Bombs groups, McLibel, anti-McDonald groups, prisoner support groups.
We have to be empathetic and try to be as supportive as we can, and that's why things like like writing to prisoners, like things like that, that just so that they've got some touch with the outside world. When you think of the isolation in prisons and the shit that they have to put up with,
a lot of people can try to help by, say, playing in a band and the band having a certain message and trying to get that across to the audience. And other people do magazines, fanzines, and they try to put across their political ideals through to people. And well, those two methods get across. You can go across the whole world, whatever you're trying to say. So I think it can be a pretty powerful medium.
People take for granted the little things that we can do. It's all the little things that add up. It's not the big things. And I mean, the thing is, it's not going to happen overnight. But the thing is, we can all put our minds to something and do something small for someone else. And I think that's what a lot to do with the, the new school, is that we tend, we're a fairly caring bunch, You'll get a few assholes and stuff like that, but I mean, that's just like everywhere, like you couldn't just say that's in the punk scene, that's everywhere.
Other people do more kind of direct action with demos or actual full-on direct action, get involved with direct action groups like Animal Lib in England or Fox Sabotages.
He's got a nice ass. If you got it on that ass, get his ass, get his ass. Nice out, he'll drop his pants. We even have to help the camera girl with her gear. I'd make the bitch carry her own shit. We're equal opportunity band.
I know at the start it was like Mohawks and stuff like that was very shock value, and that was a big reason why people did that kind of thing. And now, I don't know, how could you shock society nowadays? It'd be pretty difficult.
Well, to me, like, punk is just a way you look. People dress punky. If ideals make a person punk, well then lots of people can be punk. They'll be identified by their ideals, but people don't identify people by their ideals straight up because they don't know. Half the people, they just identify with what they look like.
Yeah, maybe because, like, in a way, you're so, like, if that's a realistic thing, because, like, there are a lot of punks out there that do the whole fashion thing and have no, you know, like that. It's not, you know, it's a feeling, and that's what it comes down to. It's in here and up here, you know, and that's where it all comes, you know, that's what it comes down to. And I think that because we see so many of them, and that once we sort of, you know, like most of them in Brisbane, you know, like most of them are, you know, pretty cool. They've got it going and shit like that. But you know, there'll be a few that are out there and that they just look the part. You know, also just based back to, you know, like old school and stuff like that, where, you know, like we're talking about, you know, like years, decades ago, when it was all just, you know, like shock tactics, you know, shock society and stuff like that, by the way you dress and the way you look and the way you act.
Yeah, a lot of the images, the mohawks and the studded jackets and the sneer and looking mean and all that sort of crap, which, yeah, unfortunately is still, people are still into that, but yeah, it's often because that's the first thing they've sort of seen of punk rock, so, and yeah, until they sort of get their outlook broad, and that's all they know of punk rock, so.
Most essential member of a band. One of the most attractive, so you can all get fucked.
That's the story we were talking about before. I actually went to a pub to meet up with some mates and stuff with my mate Kylie, and we just went there more or less just with this fella's, I think, 22nd birthday or something like that. And anyway, because we didn't end up kissing this guy for his birthday, some trivial bullshit we didn't do, and like, because we didn't do that, then they all got like shitty and everything. Like, it was like we had to put out, and he said to me sort of like, "Look at you, your tits are hanging out, your tats are hanging out, what are you?"
I'd just like to take this opportunity to say that there's no place for women in punk rock.
I think the punk scene does attract a lot of males. Some people say it's a male-orientated music.
Being a woman in the punk scene, it's just sort of like, it always, you know, feels like I've got to be the one compromising, you know, not the guy. Yeah. You know, it's sort of like I've got to change my attitude to be on the same level as him, but he won't change his attitude to be on the same level as mine. Probably one of the most highlighted part was when we put out issue 1 of a zine that Kylie and myself do, go around to people and say, "Oh, would you like to buy a copy of this zine? It's only $1.50, yada, yada, yada." And they'd sort of say, "Oh, feminazi, you know, be automatically feminazi, leso, you know, what sort of, you know, feminazi propaganda are you sort of, you know, putting out in the public and shit like that?"
Yeah, I think it's a problem when people don't even realise what they're saying is sexist, and then think when somebody pulls them up on it that they'd be in some sort of feminazi or some shit like that. I think that is a serious problem within the scene.
And I just was so disappointed, and that's why in issue 2 in the front in the editorial section I said, "Mate, look, this has got to go. This sort of crap, the way, you know, women are treated in the scene, Freudian slip, in the scene, you know, it's just sort of like, it has got to change."
Well, a lot of the people nowadays seem to be going to uni a lot and have prospects for the future. And I suppose when I first started, to me, it didn't seem like that anybody. I don't think anybody was going to university.
Yeah, it is really watered down now. For some of it, that's the mainstream sort of version of punk now. It has been really watered down the last few years.
Most people are on the dole, and I think there's a bit of a class difference between then and now. I think a lot of more middle class people are getting into it, and I know I'll say I'm pretty middle class, I suppose, but I certainly didn't have any university prospects back when I was 18, 19, that's for sure. I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I'd just be a factory worker all my life. For me, it just seems like in the old, well, when I first started, because people didn't seem to have a future, they had more pride in being part of the punk scene. And to me now, it seems a lot of the younger people, well, I can't see the same pride. Maybe I have gotten a bit older and I can't, I've gotten past all of that kind of stuff, and I can't see their anger or their enthusiasm. It's a hard thing. I don't know, getting older and not being the same way as when you were 20 and not realising it, and seeing people who are 20 and you think, why are they acting like that? And I was probably exactly the same too, but I can't remember it.
For some reason, I mean, I've probably, you know, like, I've been around a while, and I mean, even when I was a young whippersnapper, I was getting comments. I was, you know, like grade 7, grade 8, getting comments, you know, like I think people maybe saw me then as weird. Maybe I've always been inclined to be, you know, like a punk at such a young age, I don't know, but I knew I was always different. I was always, like, in some way felt alienated, even though I had close friends around. I was always still separated for some reason. I don't know what it was from.
Yeah, everyone wants to have their own little sort of tribe or community that they can feel sort of a part of. So this can be the punk community, or you know, you can be into the techno or be a hippie or whatever. It's just the tribe that you sort of belong to at the time.
I've been with my mother before, and my mother always walks about 3 paces ahead of me, or either 3 paces behind, because she doesn't want to be affiliated with me. And then with my father, when it was saying, you know, apart from his little, you know, misogynistic comments all over the shop, we'd be arguing, and he called me a prostitute back in '95. I still remember to this day what I was wearing, where I was at home. I think I was going to a gig somewhere, I can't remember where, but I remember exactly the spot I was standing where he called me it. I remember my chin almost falling to the ground, and just in absolute disgust that my own father would say comments like that, particularly at that stage where he knew nothing about me. And I was celibate up to the end of last year, around November, December. You know, and my scenario is a lot, you know, like low key to what other people I've spoken to, particularly a lot of women that have been, you know, like as young girls were molested by their parents and things like that. And although the tragedy is still there, you know, the thing is that we have in some way been able to, you know, like put our thoughts together and, you know, being constructive about it and actually being open about the events that have happened. And I mean, then you'll realise that if you speak to a whole lot of women, and I've spoken to many women in the punk scene, and at one stage in their life, they have been affected by some form of molestation, rape, sexual harassment, anywhere. And it's not good enough. And that's why I think these little collectives that the punk scene tend to offer are a good way of actually opening up that trauma that's been there and that represses us. But then when we talk to people, that's all opened up, and it's all right because you're in a safe environment.
Yeah, I think the punk scene is definitely, for people involved, it's definitely a safe place to be.
So, yeah, often the punk scene and gigs and whatever are a bit of a haven away from all the other shit.
I think people are very supportive. If they see someone giving it a go, honestly, you know, then they'll support them. A lot of young bands start out and they're not very good musicians, but they're trying, and people appreciate that, and they've got energy, and it's great, I think. And I can see a lot of good coming out of that for people and confidence.
It's just sort of like amazing. I do look around and I do observe, and what I see I don't like, hey? You know, like, you just have to walk up the street and see that. And I think people have to, open their eyes too. You know, like, just observe the little things that are going on, the subtleties, you know, the violence that is going on in the society. It's just amazing. And I reckon until we all open our eyes up, nothing's going to change. And when we do open our eyes, then the knowledge and the education will start, and that'll start flowing through everyone.
Get out and I'm cringing as the cops drag my friends off their feet. Battered, unconscious and handcuffed, and trying to reason with aggro. Friends with tears in their eyes, the Blue Army wants smart skinny punks to fill up their charge sheets. Easy to bruise and manhandle, while yobs bash each other to pieces. If you're 6.5 foot and you're dressed in a suit, no cop will bother to grab you. We're getting our convention centre, the casino and more coppers too. Cameras to spy on people walking at night, oh, they'll get you at the end of that bridge. And I just want to go home, don't want to be a Roman in Rome. My friends are all tense, you reinterpret events, and I dread to tread your fuckhead zones. And I just want to go home, get out of your fuckhead zones. Friends with tears in their eyes, the Blue Army wants smart skinny punks to fill up their charge sheets. And I just want to go home.